To this point, we have been working with resources that you have found online using a popular search engine such as Bing or Google or Safari. And when you use a popular search engine, it is on you, the researcher and / writer, to evaluate source material and make sure that you're using the best that's available to you. But I want to show you now how to use the resources provided by the GNTC library. And one of the good things about using GNTC library databases and other resources is that you don't have to worry about the evaluation part. The information is considered reliable as far as sourcing. The credentials usually have been checked, and I can show you how to verify that. But you don't have to take that extra step to make sure that you're using solid material. So that's an advantage, obviously. And assignments beginning next week as we move into the larger research paper itself, which will occupy the final third of the semester, will primarily use GNTC library database source material for your resources. So I provided you just a little short scavenger hunt activity to give you an opportunity to put into practice what I'm about to go over in this video as far as an orientation. Now, there are two ways to access the GNTC library. The first way is if you're on the GNTC homepage, www.gntc.edu, under the My Resources tab. If you hover over it, you'll see it opens up and library is here. The other option, which in many ways is simpler, on our course homepage, I have provided under GNTC Library Services, the very first option is a link to that homepage. So we're going to select it. Now this is what our GNTC Library homepage looks like. It has a variety of resources available to you here. A couple of things to notice. First off, you can chat with a librarian anytime within these hours. So if you have any specific questions, you can have a live chat, you can text, you can call, or you can email to get some answers. So there are several different features that are quite extensive on our library homepage. One of the things I want to show you under research guides, this is just so you'll be aware of these resources, there's some guides that are provided here for particular courses, and you can see how because our English literature and composition courses tend to use the library quite extensively, there's some guides here. And so if you select English 1010 and 1101, you'll notice that, for example, when you get into argumentation, which will be our last paper, there's some additional information here that's useful to you. Also notice that the featured resource is Facts on File, Issues and Controversies. And we're actually going to take a look at that. That's one of the components of your scavenger hunt. But this is one way to access it, okay? 6 steps to writing a paper, how to do research, how to evaluate source material, how to cite sources. So if you're working and you need, you want a quick refresher on APA documentation, you can select that. Useful websites, primary sources. And of course, I've covered this very briefly, but primary sources are the original source itself. So, for example, the Declaration of Independence would be considered a primary source. What people say about the Declaration of Independence are secondary sources that refer to the primary. Okay, research papers are secondary sources that are built from primary sources. Okay, the original material itself. All right, but we're going to go back. We're going to use the back arrow and go back to the library homepage. A couple of other things to see here. GNTC uses our online card catalog, if you will. Those of us who are older remember when there were actual card catalogs that were physical drawers that you pulled out, and all of the holdings in a particular library were contained in those cards. And you literally, it was a physical action. You thumb through the library cards until you found what you wanted, the book or whatever. So instead, now everything has gone, of course, electronic. For example, we still have physical books in our libraries, but we also have ebooks and articles and all types of reference guides that are contained online. And so Primo is the source that is kind of like an online card catalog. Okay, it's a type of search engine that actually searches within all of the holdings of the GNTC library and beyond, actually. You'll notice you've got some other options here. So we're going to cover Primo in just a second. But the first thing that I ask you to do in this library scavenger hunt is to work with a particular type of database. It's called Credo Reference. So the way to access Credo Reference is through Databases A to Z. All right, so if you select Databases A to Z, what Credo is, and we're going to scroll to C, all right, and then within C, select Credo Reference. Remember, when things are in blue, they're usually hyperlinks, which means that if you select it, it will open. So Credo is like a vast resource section, a vast reference section. In the library, there are always sections of the library that contain reference books. Reference books are things like encyclopedias and dictionaries and sometimes bibliographies and biographies that you can't actually check out of the library. You have to work with them in the library themselves. Normally, reference material like this gives you sort of a broad general base. The most popular reference type, for example, in using popular search engines, is Wikipedia, right? It's a vast collection of wikis, and once again, what a wiki is a public site that anybody can edit, but they are devoted to a variety of different topics, and they serve as references, a starting place, an overview. You actually should never build a paper unless it specifically requests it from just reference material, because it's usually pretty general. All right. But what I'm asking you to do, so Credo Reference is a collection of a variety of different, notice that it says it's got more than 3 million full text articles from, 1,100 different books and resources. So what I'm asking you to do, the first thing that I'm asking you to do in the library scavenger hunt, please do not use the same thing that I'm using, but I'm asking you to find a quotation that closely matches your philosophy of life. And you have to use Credo Reference for this. With this particular library scavenger hunt, you cannot use a popular search engine. If you do, you'll not get credit, because that's not the goal of this assignment is to give you an opportunity to work with the resources here. So let's just say I'm going to use the term happiness. All right, and then so that's going to be my query. That's going to be my search term. And scrolling through here, it looks like I've got some definitions, so that doesn't interest me because that's not a quotation. Pursuit of happiness. I could find something in here. Thomas Jefferson talked about pursuit of happiness. I could find something in here. American governance, happiness, direct leisure studies. But what I want, here we go, a dictionary of quotations. Please be aware, anytime you're doing research, it takes a little time. You have to be willing to devote the time and effort, and sometimes the frustration of kind of digging through information to find what you want. That's the reason students, especially beginning students, are often fairly unsuccessful researchers, because they're used to just using Google and using whatever shows up first, right? It's kind of a lazy way to go about doing research, and especially at the college level, you want to make sure that you're using the best information available. So anyway, I'm going to select this, happiness, this title, and notice that it's going to give me quite a few options here. I've got smile, it confuses people. I've always particularly liked that quotation. Okay, one swallow does not make a summer. Anyway, so I'm going to look through here and find a quotation that most closely matches my feeling about happiness. Let's see. To fill the hour, that is happiness. Okay, let's just say that's it. In other words, to use time meaningfully. So in my sheet, the speaker's name is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Okay, this is the actual quotation, and then the source, again, is Collins' Dictionary of Quotations. So that's the information that I'm asking you to fill in on this particular first section of the scavenger hunt. The second thing that I ask you to do is to find a scholarly article. Now, there are several ways to go about this. I know there are a lot of students who are used to using Galileo, especially in high school. We tend to, in the Georgia system, it's created throughout the Georgia system and used widely. And you can certainly use Galileo if you like. But actually, Primo, our general card catalog here, actually contains all of the articles that are in Galileo. So I'm just going to use Primo, and I'm going to show you how to narrow down here. The assignment is to find a scholarly article concerning a national or international issue that concerns you. So I'm going to choose COVID and homelessness. I was just reading some things about it. I find it kind of interesting and upsetting, among other things. And so that's going to be my national issue. I'm going to select the search engine here. Okay, select it again. Now, I've got 3,000 results, but the thing is, the particular assignment is to find a scholarly article. That means it's peer-reviewed. That means that an article that's peer-reviewed means that before it's ever published, scholars in the same field have signed off on it, have read it, have vetted it, have said, yes, this information is reliable. So notice that I can refine my results over here. I want, let's say, full text online, and I want peer-reviewed. Okay, so that should narrow my search. And then I'm going to select apply filters. I don't know if you can see this. I'll move this down a little bit. Apply filters. And that's going to limit, then, out of those 3,000 articles, it's down to 237. Growing up poor, let's see, that's a video. Cups for COVID, rapid implementation of harm reduction. That sounds pretty complicated, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to take a look at it. So to have this open up, again, select the title. And it provides more information for me. So here it says the search term. Well, my search term was COVID and homelessness, right? So those are my keywords, my search terms. Author's name, well, I've got a lot of them. Anytime that you have 1, 2, or 3, list all 3 names. If you have more than 3, type et al, et.al, which stands for and others. So I'm just going to type the first name, Steer, Kieran, JD, et al. All right, which indicates that there are quite a few authors here. And then it asks for the title of the article. The title of the article is here, Cups for COVID, Rapid Implementation. Then it asks for the particular title of the journal. Well, in this case, the title of the journal is, it's hard to read, but it looks like it's Canadian Journal of, there it is, Canadian Journal of Public Health. It's kind of buried in there, but that's the title of the journal, okay? And then that I'll have completed that information. All right? So simple enough, right? Notice that you use the filters on the side to find what you want if you're using Primo. The next thing that I'm asking you to do is to find a book located, a physical book, not an ebook, an actual text, an actual book that's located on one of the 6 GNTC library campuses. So I'm going to, and the particular assignment here is about a health issue that concerns or interests me. So in this case, I'm going to change my search term to Alzheimer's. I have a family, I have family history of it. I'm very interested in this particular topic. So I'm going to select Alzheimer's disease. Now, here I need to change, I don't want full text online. It's not a journal. I want a book. So notice that I have the option here of format. I'm going to select books. And then apply filters. Oh, it's still got COVID and homelessness. That's not what I want. All right. All right, so I need to change this. All right, now I want format, I want books. So notice as you go through here, the box will open up. I'm going to select that, apply filters. All right, Alzheimer's disease. This is a book. All right, it's available at the Walker County campus. So here's the information that I have to fill in on the sheet. Using Primo, find a book located. So the health issue is Alzheimer's disease. The call numbers are here. They're in parentheses, okay? Parentheses RC. It usually begins with some type of letter followed by numbers because we use the Library of Congress filing system. So normally the letters designate what type of book it is. So I would copy all of this as part of my call number. Then the book title is Alzheimer's disease, and the author, if there is one, and in this case there are two authors, Alicia Cafferty Lerner and Adrian Wilmarth Lerner. Okay, and that would complete this section of the of Primo. Of the library scavenger hunt sheet. Now, the last thing I ask you to do, and this is building toward our final big assignment, but I want you to be aware of Facts on File. It's a particular database that GNTC subscribes to. It's a paid subscription that's mainly, I think, because we English teachers use it so frequently. That's the reason that we have them request that they purchase a subscription to this particular resource. Facts on File. So I'm going to back out of this, and let's just go up to Library Services. Now, I already showed you how using Facts on File is actually listed under Research Guides in the 1101 Research Guide. But you can also find it by selecting Databases A to Z. I'm going to scroll down to F, Facts on File, Issues and Controversies. And what this does, as it says, is it explores and analyzes hundreds of hot topics in politics, business, government, crime, law, energy, and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we get to the large research paper, if you have trouble coming up with a subject that you want to use, this will help you. You can actually go to Facts on File and get some ideas. Select Facts on File, and it says to find a reliable article about the same health issue that you used for number 3. So I'm going to use that same search term, Alzheimer's disease, special report, genetic testing. Well, this sounds interesting to me. Should patients undergo genetic testing? Okay. Now, most Facts on File articles have an introduction that summarizes, it presents both sides of an issue. It doesn't take a side, it doesn't argue a particular side, but it presents both sides of an issue. Here's what supporters argue about genetic testing. Here's what opponents argue about genetic testing. Okay, and then it has an extensive, very easy to read. It's written at a level that's easy to read. Information about this particular subject, and at the very end of it, it has a bibliography, okay, of information that because it's a secondary source, and these are the primary sources used to create this secondary source. All right. At the very end, notice that it also includes citation information. In the last live session that we will have, where actually it's the next to last live session that we have where I go over the big research paper. I'm going to show you how in the GNTC databases, they contain citation tools that actually set up the bibliographic entry for you. You just have to select APA. The exception is in Facts on File. Facts on File, unfortunately, only offers either MLA style or Chicago manual style. And so what you do is you actually just use this information but turn it around where it works for APA documentation. You take off the quotation marks, you use the lowercase, you move the date that it's published second in parentheses. The rest of that's the same until you get to the access information. Access is the word you use in MLA documentation. In APA, remember, we use the word retrieved. Retrieved the date from, and then this web address. Okay? So more on that later, but just to be aware of that. So all I'm asking you to do is provide the health issue, provide the title, provide the date of publication. And again, the date of publication, although you can find it there in the reference, but the date of publication is right here. Last updated August 4th, 2006. So the information's kind of old, but it's interesting. All right, I hope this is enough information to give you a chance. Feel free to play around in the library as you have time. See the resources that are available. If you're on a campus and you want to actually check out books from another campus, we have a library loan system. We have a system where, you know, all you have to do is request it, and that book will be delivered within a day to the campus at which you're located. We also have an intra-loan system where we can borrow resources from other colleges that are part of the extended system in Georgia. So be aware that those are that's available to you as well.